This chapter is all about the video and audio APIs in the web platform. Now for this we have a new element in HTML5, the video element, and we also have the audio element. And both of these simply allow us to embed a kind of media, either video or audio. So what we're going to do in this chapter is build out our own custom video player and look at things such as the events, implementing custom timelines, durations, calculating the time left of a video, for example, learning how to implement custom volume settings, as well as looking at the audio constructors and much more. So first things first, let's dive into our application build. What we want to do is first start to create the shell for our video, and then in each lesson we're going to continue building out pieces of our custom video player. So we can start off with a div, we'll give it a class of player, and as we go along we'll open up our style.css file and then start to add some classes. For now we'll leave it as is, and inside we'll just create this video element. So as I mentioned, this was new in HTML5, and there's a few ways that we can in fact use this video element. So this is really nice, and if you've been programming on the web or developing on the web for many years, you'll have previously used things like the object or perhaps an iframe, loading in videos with JavaScript, or perhaps even older technologies such as Flash. So this essentially allows us to completely eradicate those and use a very simple and really nice API which is built as a first-class citizen in the web platform. Now the way that we can use this video, we can in fact just bind a source. So in the same pattern that we would perhaps create an image and then bind a source attribute to it, we can do this with video. However, videos come in lots of different formats and different browsers support those different formats. So it's likely that we will have to create different sources which then supply the particular video in specific formats. Now another example of this is if we open up our style.css, you can see that we have a custom font. Here we have .eot, WAF2, WAF, TrueType fonts, and SVGs. So in the same way that we are supplying different types of fonts, and what the browser will do is go through each one until one actually works for that particular browser, we essentially do the same with videos. So if a particular browser doesn't support a format, it will move on to the next one. If it doesn't support any of them, we can then provide some fallback content. And this is where we can introduce this idea of a source element. Now the source element is self-closing, and we can simply say source and add a source attribute. Now we'll leave this for now. However, first we're going to add a type. So the type for this is going to be video/MP4. It might be that we then have different formats of our particular video that we can then specify different types for. Now I've only supplied one file format. However, you do now have the knowledge to go and convert that video into different formats if you'd like. And you can open up your Explorer, jump into this assets and the media, and you can see we have autumn.mp4. So that's the video file we'll be using for this course. Now to actually render out our video, we would then supply a path such as assets, media, and then that autumn.mp4. Now if we save this out and go and look in the browser, we're going to see a 404. Now that is because we are using Webpack to serve our JavaScript bundle. And if I quickly open our Webpack configuration, we can dive into our loaders, and you can see here that we're using a file loader, which we then are detecting file formats such as MP3, our audio files, MP4, our video files, as well as WebM. So with that in mind, we're going to have to import our video in a slightly different way. Now what we're going to do is simply bind a variable called autumn.mp4, which we're then going to import up the top from this actual assets file. And this is pretty much in the exact same way we're importing our CSS. We need to then go ahead and import our MP4 file. So we can import MP4. This will of course be a default export, and we can just paste in our path of assets, media, autumn. Now because this is JavaScript, we need to specify, like we have here, the dot to go back a directory. We can then hit save, and then in the browser, we then see a video. As you can see by default, it's quite a large video. We can go ahead and inspect element, and you can see here that we have a video with a source. And because we're loading this with Webpack, you can see that it's renamed the video into a particular hash. So this video is an introduction to this video element as well as the source element. And I've also mentioned how we can then go ahead and import using Webpack this MP4 file and simply bind it using an ES6 string literal to then interpolate the path given to us from Webpack. There's also one more thing, and that is what I mentioned earlier. If we have a video format which is not supported, we can then supply some context to it. So if we were to go ahead and create a p tag, we can say HTML5 video is not supported. And what we could then do is perhaps link to the actual video itself. So we could say ahref equals, and we can say download this video instead. We can take our autumn MP4 and just simply link to it in this ahref and close off our a tag here. So we then have one nice p tag with HTML5 video is not supported, and then download this video here instead. So any browsers which then do not support MP4s, which you'd have to go out of your way to find in this day and age, we can then supply this kind of fallback text as well. And the user can still access their video file, so we're not actually causing them any harm. So that's it for this lesson. You may have had a click around and you can already see that we can see some kind of video, but it doesn't actually do anything. It's not actually playing at the moment. You may have had a right click and you can see that we have show controls, loop, picture in picture, and lots of different options. So that's exactly what we're going to cover in the next lesson, is these configuration attributes, and see what it gives us. So that's it. Let's dive into the next video.